What are you doing here? There's no seat for you in a wheelchair, so leave.
What? Not only was I shocked, but so was everyone else in the room. Being told to leave a wedding, especially as a family member, was unheard of. I don't understand.
You mentioned some accident in your childhood, but maybe it wasn't just your legs. Maybe it's your head too. Don't you understand English? Only individuals without disabilities are needed.
She said this so clearly that I was left speechless. At that moment, Tom, who was sitting next to me, stood up.
All right, let's go.
Yeah? Tom politely nodded to Sarah, then started pushing my wheelchair as we made our way out. The guests who overheard the conversation all stood up at once and began following us to the exit. All 500 guests got up from their seats. Sarah was stunned by what was happening, but just as Tom and I were about to open the door, a loud voice called out from behind us. My name is Catherine, and I'm 30 years old. Currently, I'm working as the CEO of an IT company, with my husband, Tom, supporting me as my right-hand man. I became independent 5 years ago, and the company has grown to the point where we now have about 500 employees. I live a busy life every day.
Catherine, we've finalized the deal to implement the new system.
Really? I thought the negotiations would be tough because of the high price, but you did great.
Yes, we still have some promising leads, so I'll keep pushing forward.
A company exists because of its employees. That's why I believe it's important to give back a large portion of the profits to the team. As a result, our company's salaries are much higher than those at other companies, and many employees are highly motivated to work hard. I also dedicated myself fully to work, aiming to set a good example for my team.
Catherine, how about grabbing a drink after work today? There's something I want to talk about.
Oh, John, I've got a meeting until 7, but if you're okay with that, I'm in.
No problem. Just give me a call when you're free.
I have an older brother, John, who's 5 years older than me, and he works at our company. He's a brilliant programmer and leads many of our engineers. When I was little, John and I were in a car accident, and I lost the use of both my legs. Since then, John has always taken care of me, and even now, we have a deep bond and trust each other more than anyone else in the family. Sorry I'm late. The meeting ran a bit longer than expected.
No worries. Actually, I've got some important news to share.
It's been a while since John has spoken to me in such a serious tone. Important news? What could it be? Did something happen?
Well, I'm getting married. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Really? Congratulations. John was already in his 30s, so it wasn't surprising that he was getting married. It was a happy occasion, but I was also a bit surprised. I never thought you'd be the one to get married, John.
I'm planning to tell our parents soon, but I wanted you to know first.
We spent the rest of the evening chatting about John's fiancée and having a good time. Even though I had been busy with work, a month later, John brought his fiancée to meet our parents.
Nice to meet you.
It was my first time seeing John's fiancée, and she was a stunning woman named Sarah. John was handsome, even from his little sister's perspective, and successful at work. I figured his good looks and decent salary had helped him win over someone like Sarah. Seeing the happy couple made me feel genuinely happy too, until Sarah suddenly turned to me.
So, you're John's sister, Catherine?
Yes, I am. I look forward to getting to know you.
Well, I don't intend to take care of you, so don't rely on us. If you end up getting divorced or anything, that's none of our business.
With our parents out of the room and John in the bathroom, it was just me and Sarah in the living room. I was shocked because she had been so pleasant and friendly until then. Excuse me?
Do you think I'm going to help you with anything? You need to take care of yourself. John may be close to you, but I don't plan on getting along with you.
After saying that, she turned away and went silent. Sure, I use a wheelchair, but I lived independently before getting married, and I never intended to rely on anyone. I didn't even ask for anything, yet she said all that. I was a bit taken aback. Of course, I understood not wanting to provide care, but the way she said it left me feeling unsettled. I don't expect you to take care of me, so please don't worry.
Well, of course not. Even if you asked, I'd definitely say no.
Sarah kept up her condescending attitude the whole time, but I decided not to let it bother me. My parents hadn't heard the earlier conversation, so they had a very positive impression of Sarah. Other than the talk about caregiving when we were alone, nothing major happened that day, and I went home. Life soon went back to normal. 3 months later, even though Tom and I usually lived in a house near the office, I went back to my parents' house for my mom's birthday. John and Sarah were also going to attend. I wasn't too eager to see Sarah again, but there wasn't much point in overthinking it. Besides, the day was about my mom, so I planned to avoid too much interaction with Sarah. It's been a while.
What do you want? You don't need to bother greeting me.
I'm sorry. I had taken a taxi to my parents' house but got stuck in traffic and arrived about an hour later than planned. When I walked in, Sarah was the only one in the living room. It seemed everyone else had gone out shopping. So, how did you and John meet?
Why are you prying into my life? It's creepy. Do you not understand the concept of privacy?
It was understandable that she might see it as an invasion of privacy. I hadn't meant to make her uncomfortable, but if I did, I knew I should apologize. I'm sorry. Did I make you uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable? Your very presence is uncomfortable. Do you really need me to spell that out for you?
There wasn't much I could do about being told that my existence was uncomfortable. Sarah married into the family, so if she didn't like it, she could have just stayed away. Still, I wasn't a child anymore, and arguing wouldn't solve anything, so I took a deep breath and calmed myself. Even if that's how you feel, I'm not asking us to be friends, but we are going to be family, so.
And I'm telling you that's what I can't stand. You're not normal, you know that, right? Do you even understand your situation?
She was probably referring to my wheelchair. Sure, I am not a person without disabilities, but I'm not a burden to her. Besides, John works at my company. He's getting paid more than the market rate, and thanks to him, Sarah is probably enjoying a comfortable lifestyle. I didn't want to seem like I was rubbing it in, but I felt like she could stand to adjust her attitude a bit. As I said before, I'm not asking you to take care of me, and I can handle things on my own. What exactly bothers you so much?
Just having you around makes people say I'm not normal. Your very existence is an embarrassment. If I were being completely honest, I'd want to cut ties with you right now.
Sarah looked me straight in the eye and said this clearly. She really did despise me. I didn't mind being disliked. I never expected everyone to like me, and I didn't need to be particularly close to Sarah. Of course, it would be nice if we could get along as family, but if that wasn't possible, so be it. I understand. I'll try to avoid interacting with you as much as possible. But today is my mom's birthday, so could you please not bring emotions into this?
Don't look down on me. Unlike you, I know how to act appropriately in situations like this.
Just because I have a physical disability doesn't mean I lack basic manners. I run a company, after all, and I'm confident I understand social etiquette better than most people. There was no point in arguing, so I swallowed my emotions. Happy birthday! For my mom's birthday, I gave her a designer handbag. It was something she had wanted for years but couldn't find in the US. I had bought it a few months ago while on a business trip to France, specifically as her birthday gift. She was overjoyed, and seeing her happiness made me just as happy. However, there was one person quietly wearing a discontented expression. It was Sarah. She didn't say anything at the time, but while cleaning up afterward, she called me over.
You know, I'm aware that you didn't buy that present yourself, right? You probably got some allowance from John, didn't you?
No, I bought it with my own money.
Don't lie. It'll come out eventually. No man who'd marry a woman in a wheelchair could afford such an expensive brand.
I haven't told her what kind of work I do or how much I earn each month. There's no need for me to go out of my way to share that information. But Sarah's assumptions and accusations were starting to annoy me. She should have a little more respect for others. Just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean she can say whatever she wants. I do have a job, and I support myself, so there's no need for you to worry.
As if someone like you could have a job. Once we're officially married, I'll manage all of John's salary, and I won't let you have a cent. So, you'd better start looking for a new job now while you can.
Her snide comment really got under my skin. Sarah completely looks down on me. What does she even know about me? Ever since I lost the use of my lower body in the car accident, I've worked tirelessly to overcome it. It's disappointing that Sarah, who knows nothing of my past, would make such outrageous comments based on limited information. I didn't expect much from her, and that hasn't changed. If she can live a happy life married to John, that's fine. But I decided then and there that I would distance myself from her. Time passed, and the day of the wedding finally arrived. I didn't want to see Sarah, but I was genuinely happy for John and his marriage. It was a grand wedding with over 500 attendees, including almost all of the company's employees. John, congratulations on your wedding.
Thanks. This incredible wedding is all thanks to you, Catherine. I can never thank you enough.
John was clearly excited, and I was also enjoying the impressive venue, feeling swept away by this special occasion. The reception began, and John and Sarah made their entrance. Once the formalities were over, Sarah walked up to me out of nowhere.
What are you doing here?
What?
There isn't a seat for you. You're really bold to stay here without a place to sit.
Sarah spoke those words clearly, without caring about the situation or the people around us. It was true. There wasn't a seat prepared for me. but I assumed it was because they had considered my wheelchair. What do you mean?
There's no space for a person in a wheelchair here, so leave.
What? It wasn't just me. Everyone around us was shocked. No one had expected Sarah to say something like that. To tell a family member to leave during a wedding was unheard of. Though Sarah had often made hostile comments toward me, they had always been in private. Is she really cutting ties with me now? I don't understand.
You mentioned some accident in your childhood, but maybe it wasn't just your legs. Maybe it's your head too. Don't you understand English? Only individuals without disabilities are needed.
Hearing her say that so bluntly, I was completely speechless. At that moment, Tom, who had been sitting next to me, stood up.
All right, let's go.
Yeah? Everyone around us was dumbfounded, and no one could understand what Sarah was thinking. But one thing was clear. Tom had made his decision.
Well then, we'll be leaving. Sorry for the intrusion.
Tom gave a polite nod to Sarah, then started pushing my wheelchair as we left. As we headed toward the exit, many of the guests who had overheard the conversation stood up and began to follow us. The movement spread quickly throughout the venue, and soon, all 500 guests were standing. The only people left confused were Sarah, her family, and her guests. They must have realized Sarah was in the wrong, but they seemed more shocked than anything else. Even Sarah was taken aback, but just as Tom and I were about to open the door, we heard a loud voice from behind us.
Wait a second.
It was John's voice. He had been greeting guests at other tables and had no idea what had happened at ours. Looking confused, he rushed over to us.
What's going on here?
Your fiancée seems to have some issues with her attitude. She told Catherine there was no place for her here because she's in a wheelchair and that she should leave. So we're doing just that.
Tom said bluntly to John. Of course, Tom wasn't lying. John couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he also knew we weren't the type to make something like this up. He fell silent for a moment.
I'm not blaming you at all. This isn't your fault. But what I'm saying is true, and you can ask around if you don't believe me.
Did Sarah really tell her to leave?
She said there's no need for someone in a wheelchair. So we're heading out.
With that, Tom turned to leave. I didn't want to stay around Sarah any longer either, and although I felt bad for John, I knew I couldn't accept someone like her as family. She told me to leave, so I'll leave. As I was thinking that, John abruptly apologized.
I'm really sorry. Please wait a moment. I'll go talk to Sarah right now.
Then, he ran over to Sarah. And in a voice loud enough for the entire room to hear, he began to yell at her.
What do you mean, telling Catherine to leave because there's no seat for her? Explain yourself.
I didn't mean anything by it. You don't have to be so mad.
Enough of the excuses. I don't want to hear it.
John never raises his voice when he's angry. I've known this since we were kids. He always explains logically what went wrong and discusses the issue calmly. He's always said that yelling doesn't necessarily solve anything. But here he was, losing his temper. It was clear that, for him, this was something he couldn't tolerate.
What do you think Catherine is to me?
I told you I didn't mean anything by it. And why is everyone standing up?
That's because they're employees at the company Catherine runs. Do you really think they would just stay seated while their boss is being told to leave like this?
John shouted, his voice booming. At that moment, Sarah's expression changed. Sarah had been looking down on me simply because I was in a wheelchair. She never imagined that I was the CEO of the company.
Wait, is that true?
It's true. When I messed up at my previous job and got fired, Catherine was the one who helped me turn my life around. I owe my current life to her.
John's voice was loud enough for me to hear clearly from the corner of the room. It was so normal for him to be working at my company that I was surprised to hear how much it meant to him.
Not only Catherine, but Tom is also an executive at the company. You've made both of them angry.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know isn't an excuse.
John's angry outburst startled me, but it showed how serious he was.
Regardless of all that, Catherine is my beloved sister. What were you thinking? Apologize to her immediately.
John's anger toward Sarah was escalating. Realizing how bad the situation had become, Sarah quickly made her way toward me.
I'm truly sorry for what happened. I had no idea you were the CEO.
Sarah was desperately apologizing, but I was just tired of it. Whether or not I'm the CEO doesn't matter. Does she even understand what she did? Are you apologizing because I'm the CEO?
What?
If I weren't the CEO, you wouldn't be apologizing or reflecting on what you did, right? The fact that you think it's okay based on someone's position shows who you really are. It's not about apologizing because I'm the CEO. What Sarah did was simply wrong as a person. John had said it had nothing to do with my position as CEO, yet she still didn't get it. Her apology only made me angrier.
That's not it. I really am sorry for what I did.
Alright, but even so, you can't take back what you've done. And this isn't the first time either. I had intended to keep quiet about everything Sarah had done to me. Telling John would only make their relationship worse. But seeing John's anger and Sarah's true colors, I decided to reveal everything.
What do you mean, not the first time?
Like during the engagement meeting or on Mom's birthday. There were several times when she said she wanted nothing to do with me because I'm in a wheelchair and not normal.
Oh my God.
John's eyes widened in shock, but I wasn't exaggerating or lying.
Is all of this true?
Of course. I planned to keep quiet as long as you were happy with her, but I can't anymore.
I'm truly sorry for not realizing. I never imagined she was saying such things behind my back.
John, who had been in shock moments ago, now looked utterly disappointed in Sarah. Seeing the change in John's expression, Sarah must have realized how bad things had gotten.
I'm really sorry. I promise I'll change, so please forgive me.
There's no way I can forgive you. I've seen your true colors. This wedding is off. The engagement is over.
No one, including me, had expected it to come to this, and we were all stunned. But it was clear from John's tone that he wasn't speaking in the heat of the moment. He was serious.
What you've done this time is unforgivable. And it's not just that, you have serious character flaws. I can't trust you as a person.
Wait, don't say that. We've come this far. You can't just call off the engagement.
Who betrayed whom? How can you say that when you haven't even owned up to what you did?
John was furious, and it was clear the engagement was over. Sarah was panicking, desperately trying to calm him down.
I'll do whatever it takes. I swear I'm really sorry. Please forgive me.
Don't make me repeat myself. I don't trust you anymore, and I can't live with someone who looks down on my sister, Catherine.
John's words were firm, and Sarah collapsed to her knees in despair. John then quickly walked up to the stage, addressing the guests and starting to speak.
Thank you all for attending today, despite your busy schedules. I deeply apologize for the situation that has unfolded. However, marriage is built on trust, and that trust has been broken. As such, this wedding is cancelled.
Wait, you can't just make that decision. I don't agree to cancel the engagement.
I don't need your agreement. We're not getting married, and I'm cutting ties with you. That's all I have to say.
John's expression shifted from one of calm apology to intense anger as he addressed the guests. Even so, John was probably still holding back his emotions. I'm sure he wanted to let his anger explode and shout even more.
You don't have anything to apologize for to the guests?
I didn't want to cancel the wedding, but you're the one doing it, aren't you?
To all of you, I sincerely apologize on her behalf as well. Once again, I am deeply sorry.
John apologized to the guests and gave a signal to the staff. At his signal, all the doors of the venue were opened, and the staff began getting everyone out. The sight of all 500 guests leaving the venue in style was something to behold. For Sarah, it must have been a moment of utter despair. And with that, we all returned home. That night, I got a call from John.
I want to apologize again for what happened today. I'm truly sorry. Actually, not just for today, but for everything that's happened until now.
I had told him many times that none of this was his fault. But still, he seemed to feel guilty about what his fiancée had done. I didn't need an apology from John. I just wanted him to be happy. If he didn't want to marry someone like that, it was his choice, and we would respect his decision. But are you really okay with this outcome? If you still want to marry her, I won't stop you. I don't want to have any connection with Sarah, but I'm not trying to stop the wedding. I might get criticized for being too lenient, but I don't believe anyone in the world is perfect. Of course, I could never personally get along with Sarah, nor would I ever forgive what she's done. But she must have shown John her good side. At the very least, she had acted in a way that made him want to marry her. This incident doesn't erase everything she's built. Only John and Sarah know what their relationship is truly like. However, it seemed John's feelings hadn't changed.
I really appreciate you saying that, Catherine. And yes, we did love each other enough to consider marriage. But everything I saw before was just the side she showed me. I didn't know her real self, her true nature.
That's true.
No matter the circumstances, what she did was something an adult should never do. You made me realize that, and I can't thank you enough. I'm sorry for all the trouble, but you really saved me.
Hearing John say that made me feel confident that my actions hadn't been wrong after all. It's true that I had exposed everything in the heat of the moment and ruined the wedding. But if it helped my beloved brother, John, then I had no regrets. So, have you talked to her yet?
We'll have a detailed conversation soon, and I want you and Tom to be there as well. The engagement is off, but she might apologize.
If they're canceling the engagement, I'm done with Sarah. With John so firm in his decision, I had no reason to hesitate either. A week later, the day arrived for the four of us to meet and talk. The location was a restaurant nearby.
I'm truly sorry. I'll do anything you ask. so please forgive me.
Before any of us could say a word, Sarah loudly apologized. But no matter what she does now, it's too late. We aren't here to forgive her. We came to discuss the future, and that's all.
We're not here for your apology, and I'm not wasting time on something so pointless. First, I wanted to officially end the engagement.
I'm really sorry, but please don't end it.
Is it because you already spent all your savings thinking we'd get married? Did you think I didn't know?
I was shocked by John's words, and Sarah's face tightened. I looked at John, confused.
I noticed you've been spending a lot lately, and now I know why. After the wedding incident, one of the friends at the reception told me you were bragging about marrying into money.
No, that's not true. It's a misunderstanding.
Regardless, we're done. That's all I have to say. If you have anything to say to Catherine, now's your last chance.
Sure, John made a decent living, but I never thought Sarah had thought she was marrying into money. She looked down on me and judged John solely by his income. What a terrible person. I'm so relieved John didn't marry her. I thought to myself,
You've got to be kidding me. If you weren't in that wheelchair, none of this would have happened. You ruined my life. How are you going to take responsibility?
instead of an apology, Sarah snapped the moment she realized her situation was beyond repair. She charged at me, furious, looking like she might raise her hand against me. I froze, but Tom quickly stepped in to stop her.
If you try to hit her, I'll call the police. Do you understand your position?
Tom, who had been silent until now, spoke in a low, steady voice. At the mention of the word police, Sarah fell silent for a moment, but realizing there was no way out, she continued her tirade, unable to stop herself.
The police? Go ahead, call them. I'm not afraid of that.
She raised her voice even louder, as if thinking that yelling would scare us. It was more of a scream now, and people around us were starting to stare.
My life is ruined because of this woman. She needs to take responsibility.
In a fit of anger, Sarah splashed water on me. The next moment, Tom spoke up.
Prepare yourself. I filmed everything. Also, I'm calling the police.
What?
It's not just physical violence that's a crime. Even throwing water at someone can get the police involved, and people have been arrested for it. And by the way, I'll also be reporting this to your company.
Sarah's anger quickly shifted to fear as her face paled. She was finally beginning to understand the gravity of her actions.
If you had just apologized sincerely, it wouldn't have come to this. But you know, I won't be showing you any mercy. I'll definitely contact the police and your company, so be prepared.
With that, Tom placed money on the table, pushed my wheelchair, and we left the restaurant. Even as we walked away, Sarah, pale and furious, glared at me with an intense expression. John quickly followed us outside.
Catherine, I'm so sorry this happened. And Tom, I apologize to you too.
I'm fine. I just feel bad for Catherine, but it shows that people don't change.
John apologized to us, but neither Tom nor I were angry at him at all.
I'll make sure all the employees know that none of this was your fault, and we'll take care of the rest. So don't stress too much about it.
Thank you so much.
I never imagined I'd experience something this terrifying, but in the end, I was glad things turned out the way they did. We reassured John one more time before heading home.
Actually, one of her co-workers was at the wedding. Word got back to her company, and it looks like she's going to get fired.
Really? Is that so?
Yeah, it seems fitting given her behavior. She has no savings, and her parents are cutting her off. I don't know what she's going to do next, but that's not my problem.
I was surprised by John's news, but when I thought about it, it made perfect sense. People with such poor character inevitably get cut from companies. As a business owner myself, I understood that all too well. After that, we completely cut ties with Sarah. In the end, she was truly disowned by her parents and also had to quit her job. Without any savings, she found another job, but it was at a terrible company, and she soon quit. I hear she's barely making ends meet by working part-time. With no one to help her, she's living a life of solitude. As for me, I'm still happily running my business and enjoying life with my husband. John is also fully focused on his work, and the company's revenue continues to grow. We meet with our parents once a month, and we all enjoy our time together as a close-knit family. Living in a wheelchair is certainly challenging, and I know I might inconvenience others at times. But no matter the reason, it's never okay to look down on someone who is trying their best to live. I want to continue living with pride and cherishing the people who care about me,